Hello listeners, I'm Errol Parker, Editor-at-Large of the Batuta Advocate, and thank you for tuning in to today's special podcast. It's been a long time coming, but now is the time for Queenslanders to have a very hard conversation. On today's podcast, Clancy has made his way down to the Brown Snake to investigate and dissect the heartbreaking existential crisis of one of Australia's most esteemed and historically reliable institutions. No, it's not the Catholic Church or the Australian Labor Party. It's an organisation that has brought far more joy to people. We are talking, of course, about the Brisbane Broncos. At the time of this recording, the Broncos have just lost 5 matches in a row, including last week's humiliating loss to the ugly little brother from down the road at the Gold Coast. For those who refuse to believe that things were as bad as they were, the penny dropped when their own fans booed them at halftime as they left the field trailing the Titans 22-zip. The unflattering records continue to break, such as the biggest margins in a loss, longest streak of match losses, and longest streak of seasons without a premiership. These are all new and unfamiliar lows for a club that used to win a premiership every 2 to 5 years, no questions asked. And their players, fans, and former greats have no idea how to process it. This week, Clancy speaks to former Bronco Jharal Yow Yeh for some insight into how the club got to where it is today. Jharal played for the Broncos from 2009 to 2012, in which time he also represented the Queensland Maroons, Australia, and the Indigenous All Stars. That was until this promising young winger had his career cut short by one of the most gruesome injuries seen on the football field in the modern era. A compound fracture to the leg against the Rabbitohs in round 4 of 2012 was described by the surgeon as a war or road trauma injury, not something he expected to see from rugby league. Jharal talks to Clancy about all these things, from being tipped as the next Wendell to having to take a job at the Broncos in their player welfare department and having to watch from the sideline. Jharal Yow Yeh formally resigned from Red Hill in March this year, so the gloves are off now. This is what he's got to say.
You're listening to Errol Parker and Clancy Overell, editors of the Batuta Advocate on Desert Rock FM.
Well, welcome back to the Batuta Advocate radio show. Recording from Brisbane this week. I've made my way down to the Brown Snake. It's Clancy Overell here. Of course, Errol Parker's back holding the fort in the newsroom in the Channel Country, but I've made my way down here. I've got a few errands to run. I've got a few kids to see, that I haven't been able to see in isolation, haven't been a very good flaky father. So I'm back in Brisbane and I'm doing the right thing. And I thought while I was here, I would address a news story, probably been a pretty big one in the River City, the slump, I guess, in Brisbane sport. So today, to talk about these particular issues and a range of other things, I'll be interviewing today's guest, who's sitting in front of me, Jharal Yow Yeh, former Broncos icon, former Broncos player, and of course, former Broncos staffer. Thank you for joining us today.
No, Clancy, thanks for having me, mate. I really appreciate it. Everything former at that club at the moment.
Former.
I mean...
When did you hang up the lanyard?
The lanyard, yes. Well, it did become that. It used to be the set of keys, but they've moved into the big building now over there at Red Hill and Fulcher Road. And
you had the keys to the city at one point.
I'd like to think so. Never won a grand final, but they still gave them to me at that club. Yeah, hung the lanyard up March this year.
Yeah, right.
So, pretty weird time to be honest with you. I mean, I was there since I was 17 years old and, 14 years of joy and happiness at that place. And, it was pretty hard to see the back of it. But, look, I'm here now at 98.9 FM and doing the drive show with myself and Tari and, yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving radio.
Yeah. Well, you're always a bit of a media talent in every post-match interview we saw. You were always a bit more. You'd stray away from the actual template and the formula, which was full credit to the boys and game of two halves and dug in, done our best.
Yeah, look,
back myself. You used to actually, you used to get outside the box with.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of those football cliches were thrown around way too much in post game, media conferences and whatnot. So, try to be the different guy.
Yeah,
try to be the different person in the group, and I'm glad someone noticed.
Well, your new employers certainly did.
Yeah,
That's,
definitely.
The Drive Show on 98.9 FM, Brisbane, country music radio.
Yeah, if you haven't tuned in, please do. We're on the search at the moment for the best cookie in Brisbane.
She's on me boat. She's on me ute.
It's happy days at the moment. No, but seriously, honestly, very happy to be, well, I shouldn't say away from that club at the moment. It is pretty tough, like you mentioned, and we will touch on a few things, obviously, in this in this talk that
This confessional.
This confessional of where the club's going, and I'm confused because it's a tough chat for me because I'm still so very, very involved with all of my friends at that club, and it's something that I never wanted to be that player that left this club and bagged them. And I never will be. I'm not going to bag them. I just like to speak the truth.
Yep.
And, I did tweet something on the weekend that, hurt a few people's feelings.
Do you want to just go over that for those who didn't read?
Yeah, I'll get me tweet up.
Your late night tweet?
My late night tweet that, I thought, it wasn't anything crazy. It was just what I thought, and personally, who I am as a person, what I would have done.
It wasn't as rough as anything a journalist would be tweeting.
No, definitely not. And look, to anyone out there that thinks I'm a journalist, you can go shove it. I am not a journalist. Yeah. I'm far from a journalist. A lot of people at the club when I was there, all those journos thought I was becoming one, but I'm myself, and I'm not going to become one of those people. Yeah. I wrote what I do as a player. Right, this is straight after the game. On the weekend against the Titans. What I do as a player right now, instead of talking and laughing with my opponents after the game, I go see the fans at a distance, obviously, say hello, wave to them, apologise, do whatever I got to do to say sorry to the people that make this beautiful club. That's just me, though. That's, and that's come from my heart because I do see, I don't know, there's a lot of people saying it's a culture problem. I see maybe not the baton being passed down to the younger players of this is who we are. Mm-hmm. As a Broncos team, and this is what we should be doing. Yep. And one of those was drilled into me, and the great Darren Lockyer drilled this into us, was, we always go see the fans after the game. Mm-hmm. Win, lose or draw. Yep. No matter if it's bad times. I made it very personal that I did that every game. And that after the game on the weekend, going 5-0, it had nothing to do with the result. It was just the hurt that the fans had to, there were 6,000 people in there that the first time after we've had a lot of fans come back. Yeah. Just go do what our fans deserve and go say hello and, at a distance, like I said, and apologise if you have to or wave to them because that's all they want. I talk to them regularly. That's all they care about. They just want you to know that you care. And look, if it hurt anyone's feeling, I don't apologise because that's how I feel personally.
Yeah. Now we'll go back. We'll get into that a bit later. The happenings in the club and where it's come to from your playing days. But we'll go back to the start a little bit. You are North Queensland, Central Queensland.
Rocky Boy.
Rocky Boy.
Yeah, Rock Vegas, Emu Park on the coast of near Yeppoon, where my family resides from, and it's my grandfather's side, my South Sea Islander side of my family, and beautiful part of the world. If no one's been up there, get up there and have a look at it.
And Yay is Chinese background.
It is Chinese background. So
you wouldn't be the only player in the NRL or in rugby, either codes. Yeah, there's a couple. A lot of Chinese last names in the islands too.
Most definitely. I mean, the cane farmers were obviously Chinese. They came over and brought a lot of Vanuatu people with them. I think that's where the cross came in. Yeah, Yow Yeh was a very famous name before I started playing rugby league. I had a bit of heat on me from the start. Didn't realise my uncle Kevin was a superstar of a footy player.
He was Tigers.
Yeah, he was a Tigers boy. He played at Redcliffe also, which I despise. I never played at Redcliffe. I'm a North Devils boy. But I heard a lot of great things about this man. Didn't know anything, because my grandfather's a very humble man as well. Doesn't like to, I suppose, talk up his family, and I think, in a way, he's probably smart as well. He probably wanted to keep me a bit humble and not, say, our family is this, Jharal, or maybe not put so much pressure on us. But as soon as I put a Broncos under-20 shirt on, wow, the media came and came running fast. And I was in my first photo shoot on my first day of under-20s kid, and it was a bit weird for me. But, yeah, that's where the name came from. And from the start, like I said, I didn't know what I had ahead of me, but there was a lot of history behind my name.
Yeah. And then, so can you tell us a little bit, because you were lucky enough as a Queenslander to play your whole club career in Queensland, but there was a close call there. You nearly, was it Para?
Yeah, it was a good close call. It was a good close call that probably was the best thing that ever happened to me, actually. I mean, I come out of North's Devils, where I played all my junior footy and senior footy. I played over 150 games from my junior footy to senior footy at Norths, and picked up when I was 16 years old to go to Parramatta in Sydney. Lucky enough to be billeted out down there and go have a trial at the start of 2007. Late 2006, start of 2007. Yep. I'm thinking this could be anything here. And my grandmother was my late great grandmother was an Eel supporter, so happy lady, very happy lady. So, and to me, it didn't matter. Like, I didn't really care. I didn't really care where I was. But that opportunity was amazing. I've met some great people down there. I was down there with Daniel Mortimer at the time. He was coming through. Yep. Albert Kelly, superstar, came through the game. He's obviously playing in England at the moment. Yep. But those were the type of kids I was billeted with, and it was a pretty special moment. I was down there for probably 3 months, and unfortunately got told that, I'm not big enough, and I just probably wouldn't be good enough to play first grade.
Same thing happened to JT.
Yeah.
Same thing happened to all of them.
Yeah, to the Broncos said that to him. Yeah. Well, what were we thinking? Probably arguably the best, one of the best halves to ever play the game.
So how did you respond to that? Was that you saying, well, I'm going to show you, or is it I'm going to get myself in front of some fresh eyes?
Nah, it was definitely I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think from a young age as an Indigenous kid growing up on the north side, I was probably always going to be behind. I know that sounds really weird, but I was probably the only Aboriginal kid at my school.
Certain when Murray's playing in the Blues back then.
No, definitely. So, yeah, look, it was, I was probably behind the 8 ball straight away, as you would put it, but I loved it. I was told, like I said, from a young age, from a lot of teachers, that I wouldn't make it in anything, and I think that just is who I've become. I love negative feedback. Yeah. And that's how I thrive, I suppose. And that moment in my life, I went, am I going to sit around and kick stones, or am I going to take action here and go prove to this man, these people, this club, that they've just missed out on the biggest opportunity they ever had. Yeah. And that's where I went, and I was lucky enough to come back to Brisbane, and my manager, Cole Davis, said to me, look, we've got an opportunity. And first, being me, I said, is there any money involved? Nah, it's just a trial and train at the Broncos. Yep. And I went, yeah, easy done, let's do it. And then from there on, I met some of my lifelong best friends, Ben Hunt, Andrew McCulloch, Josh Hoffman, Alex Glenn, Josh Maguire. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I trained the house down because, I just think because, you're training with people who you want to train with. One, and you just love playing footy, man. And that was my goal, was to play footy. And after Christmas, the Bronx came to the table with a contract. Have a guess.
I don't know. Back then.
Yeah, it's 2007, so it would have been start of 2008.
I hope you're getting more than, say, the media. What's that, 80K?
Well, this is the funny thing. This is a lot of people don't know this story.
Than the media advisor?
Yeah. I got offered $1,000 a year to be at the Broncos. And I took it.
Oh, my God.
And I said, yep, where do I sign? Where's my check? Give me the money now. So I did what any smart 18-year-old would do, is I went and bought a plasma screen TV and an Xbox 360. My mum was off me. But that's how it all started at the Broncos. That's exactly that's it. And I missed the first round in under 20s. I played all the trial matches, missed the first round, and I thought, that's when I sort of hit rock bottom. I was like, what am I going to do? Is this it for me? But I just went, nah, stick it out. Went back to North and, played second round.
Right. Played
every single game that year and was the highest try scorer in the comp, 27 tries in 26 games. Yeah, man, it just, I don't know. It just went really quickly. The time went like that. Like I said, if I couldn't have done it without the boys that were in my side, definitely not. Like that cliche we talked about. Yeah. Credit to the boys.
Full credit. They back themselves.
We're back, baby. Full credit to the boys. And look, the bond I made with Benny Hunt was second to none.
Yep.
And if I didn't have that bond with him, you know, I probably don't score 20 of those tries that year without him. So, yeah, I mean, that was the start of my career at the Brisbane Broncos.
You then went on to play 60 games for the Bronx.
Yep.
3 Origins.
Yep.
3 Australia
tests.
Tests for Australia, and then 3 games for the All Stars. So you got a fair chunk of rep footy in there.
Yeah.
For a career, of course. I mean, a lot of our listeners will know how it ended. Was an injury.
Compound fracture.
Compound fracture.
Yeah.
And a lot of people saw it on television. A lot of people saw it in the stands.
Yeah.
And it has become a bit of folklore in the game. You now play the role as a case study for a lot of the young fellas as well, just to remember.
Could be over.
Could be over in a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't call you exactly Booby Miles, but you definitely you got some good footy in there, which is great.
Yeah.
Too, we can't say it's a wasted talent because as a Queensland supporter, we relied on you and you delivered.
Yeah. Look, I enjoyed when I was playing footy, man. I just was enjoying playing footy, and that's the whole gist of why I started playing rugby league. Yeah. I mean, I was a soccer player before I played rugby league, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about it now because I just had so much fun playing that game. And I just, if I've got anything to say to these boys that play these days is, it could be over tomorrow. Like, have fun, enjoy it. Don't take anything for granted. Make sure you give everything, every single game, because people think that these careers are long, man. They ain't long. But my mum always said to me, do something properly. And that day in Perth, I broke my ankle properly. So she did say do stuff properly. So it's an enjoyable career, mate. Honestly.
Can you just quickly go through what was the initial thinking there? Was there a bit of Booby Miles, like come on, coach, or come on, doc, just tell me it's okay, or you had to start thinking immediately about what's happening next? Yeah,
look, being pretty stubborn of the bloke I am, I wanted to give myself every opportunity to play rugby league again. But when that day came, I'm a realist, and I knew that this is not going to be the thing that I do for the rest of my life now. And it obviously never is, because you obviously play till you're 33, 34, or if you're Cameron Smith, the 40. You have those. I did have that moment, and I needed to, personally, for my sanity, go, all right, let's wrap this up, and then let's figure out where Jharal Yow takes himself from here. It was that was really, really hard decision to make, because like any kid that plays this game, or like anyone that in sports that thrive and try so hard to be the best in their field, that's exactly what I tried to do. People talk about, carpentry apprenticeships, they go through a 4-year apprenticeship. Well, my apprenticeship was when I started playing at 10 years old. That's a 10-year apprenticeship to get to where I got to. So it hurts when they, take your license off you, so to speak. And that's what happened to me, and decided that it wasn't happening anymore, and where am I going to go now? And first I started in Indigenous department at the Broncos. Really enjoyed that, but I just sort of wanted to expand and go, okay, Jharal, what else tools do you have in yourself? Like, what else can you do? Media wasn't my big thing that I ever had. It wasn't
at that point.
Yeah, it was not. It was never something that I thought, but I also knew there was an opportunity in the digital world that was going to grow, that I was like, okay, should you try and do this? And if you do, if you fail, you fail. But if you don't, I believe I've changed a lot of stuff at that club digitally, how we created podcasts, how we created live segments, how we created different concept for the players. And we
knew how to give plans access to the players
exactly.
they didn't have before.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you knew the players.
That's it. Yeah. And I've been there before. So now, I created all that in a way, and now I love talking. I don't know why, but I love it. I hated it before. Like I could talk to the media, but I didn't like it. Now you can't shut me up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where I wanted to go with it. So I'm very happy I did, because I definitely wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah. You talk a little bit about getting into the Pathways program at the Broncos and helping kids come through, whether they be young Murray kids or you were working with everyone by the end of it. You were an ambassador or a liaison to everyone, not just the black kids. What do you say to people that talk about the baby Bronx at the moment? Like this idea of the baby Bronx. I mean, you've left the Broncos early this year. You left the employment of the Broncos. Is there still that feeling at Red Hill? Is it still the same old sleepy club it was? You know, the Alfie's Bar, Wayne Bennett, the King? Do you feel any of that in there? And was it there when you were there?
Oh, most definitely was there when I was there.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And I'm not, that sounded arrogant the way I said that then. I'm not saying that because I was there, it was there.
Yeah.
I'm saying I felt that when I was there.
Yeah.
I would have to say, personally, this has nothing to do with anybody else in the club, but what I feel.
Yeah.
Personally, in the last year and a half, when I was there, I lost a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how to explain that, but I just felt that.
Yep.
Me saying this now is no one knows how I feel. I'm saying exactly how I feel. I definitely feel like it was not the same when I was there, and you say those names.
Yeah.
I don't feel that anymore. And that hurts me to say that, because this club was built on some great people before us, before me, before the people that came before me. You know, I wanted to wear that number 5 jersey week in and week out because I wanted to be better than Wendell Saylor.
Yeah.
That was my goal. You know, maybe I was going down a path that I probably wasn't going to be, but I was like, I'm not going to stop until I try. I don't know if they feel, I can't speak for them, but what I see and what I feel is I'm not sure if they feel that anymore. Yeah. Does someone want to be better than a Jharal Yow Yeh?
Yeah.
Does someone want to be better than a Jharal Yow Yeh?
Yeah.
I don't know if they feel that anymore. The things that are in the club right now is a big part is, you know, Alf's still around, and he should never have to leave that place because he created that place. Yeah. And we talk about people come before us and players. The club is not a business made business from the Broncos. It is made by the people in it. And when I think of the Broncos, I think of Alan Langer. Yeah. I think of Sam Thaiday. I think of Justin Hodges. I think of Corey Parr. I think of Jharal Yow Yeh. They're Broncos to me.
Yeah.
What epitomises a Bronco for me is when you get kneed in the face in your last game at Suncorp Stadium and you still play the last 15 minutes and kick a field goal for your team. Jharal Yow Yeh did that, and that's a Bronco to me. And that's what a Broncos mentality is. You know, Matt Gillette breaking his neck, told he shouldn't play again, but does for his mates and for the club. That is a Broncos to me, and that's what I think we're probably missing a little bit of. I don't know if that's leadership. Those boys do have leadership traits, but you don't need to be a leader to have those traits. Yeah. You just got to have that ticker in you, and I see it. You know, when I watch Alex play, I see it in him so much. He gives everything. He gives everything, whether he's going to fail or not. He gives everything every game, and I'm getting really passionate right now because I believe that's the thing that we've lost the most is what it means to be a Bronco. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and Broncos always had a reputation as they had a lot of one club players. Do you feel like there is a little bit of a hired goons feeling in there now?
Yeah, most definitely a little bit. Yeah. Because, I watch boys leave the club that shouldn't leave the club. Yep. And I understand it's a business. Yep. That's what we talk about. That's what they talk about. But that's what Sydney clubs do. They call it a business. Yeah. For me, when I was at this club, I never seen it as a business. I always seen it as the most loyal club. And that's what I suppose created me to be a loyal person. I signed my first contract as $1,000, and I said to Pete Nolan when I signed it, you better just keep them coming because I ain't going anywhere. Yep. Just keep the contracts coming. I'm not leaving this place. I'll stay here forever. And I'm a person who never go back on my word. I would have stayed there till the death, and I feel like sometimes we're not doing that now. It's changed because apparently we have to change. Yeah. I don't think we have to. I think if we went back to the model we had back in '88, we'd still be as good as we are now.
Bit of power's bitter.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, that's where Yeah. You can tell I'm very passionate about this place, and I just want to see it succeed. And I just don't. Everything I've said is how I think you fix it, but there's so many other people that know how to do it as well.
You do seem to be rather kind on those fans that booed the team at halftime on the weekend. You've been pretty kind to them. Batuta Advocate just published a story as I walked in here saying, the Broncos are under fire from their fans who demand a team that's made up of 80% of the Origin side. That's what they expect, and it feels like, it's a bit like that Last Dance. People hate making comparisons to the Chicago Bulls and sporting around, but it felt like a constitutional right that we'd get a premiership every 2 years, every 3 years, every 5 years, and the team would be made up of Origin players who would win Origin every year. Do you think there is a feeling of, maybe the Broncos fan should just appreciate what a slump is for the first time in the club's history, where they you can look down at the Bunnies. They were so shit they got kicked out of the comp. You know what I mean? And the Eels, for goodness sake. It's been a long time coming for them.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think we should be. I think our fans should obviously be with us in the hard times. Mm-hmm. If that's what you're saying, most definitely. Don't just ride the highs with us. Yeah. Ride the lows as well. And the reason why I get the fans is because I've been on both sides of the fence now. Mm-hmm. Because I am a fan now. I get what they feel. And no, they won't like me saying this, but when you're a footy player, you see this. You see one thing. Yeah. You don't see anything else. You don't see whatever's, here. You go to training, you think you're in your own world. You think you got time for no one else. Well, there's something that you don't remember, boys. I was a footy player once. Yeah. We have all the time in the world. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like we leave training and there's like so much time to do things to
get into trouble.
Yeah, well, to get in trouble, and that's what we freaking do a lot of the time as well, us rugby league players. But, yeah, I get I understand what you're saying with the fans. And, they need to. There's probably a precedent with time that we got to go, hey, guys, that's enough as well. But I also get where they're coming from. So I just want it from both sides. I want the fans to be nice, and I want the boys to address what they're doing as well, and the club. So that's what I'm saying,
Can you tell us a little bit about, like, as we were talking about before, those people that made the club what it is? You also were part of some other, great institutions of rugby league, namely the Origin Maroons, the Queensland Origin side. What was it like? But you played with some greats of the Bronx, but by the time you got to play Origin, you were in the streak. You were in the 8 in a row.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be in number 6. Mm-hmm. I was pretty willing I was going to be in number 7 as well, obviously without my injury. But to be a part of. Like, I actually had this conversation with my friends 2 weekends ago at a dinner that we have me and my mates do this dinner every month, and we talk about, we just talk about our lives. But I had this conversation to my close mates about, that'll probably never happen again, that series, that 8-peat. Yeah. And like, I'm going to be one of those people that'll always be a part of that, which blows my mind. Yeah. But when you talk about Origin and you talk about a team, it's something that it's really hard to explain. You go back to a lot of media interviews with players that talk about Origin. They do exactly the same thing I'm doing right now. It's hard to explain because you've got to be a part of it to know. And there's always that just feeling that it's just like, I'm so comfortable here. Yeah. You're so comfortable with... And that's probably what it's like in New South Wales as well. Don't take anything away from them. They've been outstanding for the last couple of years as well. But that time where I was a part of that, it was different.
Did it feel like nothing could stop the train?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it was different. Yeah. It was like we would go to training, we'd do some conditioning, and you used to go to Broncos training, right, and do conditioning, people would miss, and you'd be like, an extra. No one ain't missing, man. Yeah. No one's missing in these representative sides. So you're finishing that in 20 minutes when it used to be an hour session. Yeah. You're going into your thingy, righto, boys, we need to do this. If we execute, we're off the field. 15 minutes, execution done, get off. And then you've got obviously your boys who stay on the field, do extras, which is everybody. Yeah. There's not just some people doing extras.
Not just Cameron Smith.
Yeah, every single person is doing extras, and it becomes an extras training session. It doesn't become a we do this set, this training session. It becomes an extras training session, and I couldn't believe how crisp and clean playing footy with them was. Like timing, cohesiveness, the brotherlyhood that you had, contact at training, how aggressive it was, because we knew if we had let off at training, we wouldn't be putting it in the effort in the game. So everything was in intense to game intensity. Yeah, it was like every time we played, it was just like, I feel so sorry for New South Wales right now because we're about to towel you boys. We're about to absolutely pump yous and you don't even know. And that's exactly what it was like when I played the series. Like the second game in my series, we probably went down there not as confident. We were just a bit off. Yeah. And that wasn't anything to do with training. I think travel has a lot to do with it when you play that game. The hype is so big, man. And Like the sea of blue down there was huge.
Yeah.
So the crowd play a big part. Like I have to say that as well. And it was pretty scary to play in front of, all those Blues supporters. But it also gave you a drive. We didn't lose by much. Jared Hayne had an outstanding, he played his skin out that game. Yeah. But we just knew it was Lockie's last game when I played that series. Yeah. There was no way we were losing that last game.
Yeah.
Well, we ended up beating them 34-24. I think we were 24-6 up at halftime.
Yeah. And
we put the cue in the rack.
Yeah.
Just on cruise control, boys. And we just, it sounds weird, but it just felt like we're never going to get beaten with that side.
Yeah. That siege mentality, you hear about it quite a bit. And we actually asked this question of Soward the other day. And he said, Jamie Soward said, I asked him, who was the most competitive animal you ever played with? And obviously in the wake of the last dance, who was the Jordan? I mean, obviously it's hard to compare anything to that, but who was the animal? And he said for him it was Finchy, which surprised me. I think it often does surprise people who that person is behind the scenes.
Well, you know why you think that? Because Brett Finch is a footy player I think that people love.
Yeah.
But he's always the jokester, or I think he's always the guy that's off the field. Because if I'm calling someone to go have a beer with, in the New South Wales side, it's probably Brett Finch, to be honest. I think it's the change of mentalities when people walk over that line that you don't see, and I can see where Sowie's coming from there. Yeah. He's an angry, he would play with more anger than he does, skill, I think.
Yeah.
And that's just who he was. And you could tell when he came, that game he came on, kicked that field goal.
Yeah.
I've heard that story. I've heard him tell me that story so many times. I'm over it. But, he didn't get called until the day before for that game. And it just shows how much someone like him wants it.
And is willing to wear it.
Yeah.
Willing to fix this himself.
Because people will come in and go, well, I'm going to set myself up for failure. I don't want to play.
Yeah.
Where he doesn't care. He's all in or nothing. That's the type of person he is. And, I can see where Sowie would come from with that. Yeah.
Who would you say of the people you played with?
Man, if we're talking exactly like Jordan, and look, I'm going to hate saying this because if he hears this, his head's going to explode. But it's definitely Justin Hodges for me.
Yep.
Justin Hodges will talk shit when he's 20 down.
Yep.
He just won't. It's easy to talk when you're up, like Michael Jordan says.
Yeah.
It's easy to talk that talk when you're up in the field. But when you're down, it's so much harder to do that. That's what Justin Hodges was. That's who Justin Hodges is, and that's why everyone hated him from New South Wales.
Yeah.
Because he talked the talk, man. He walked the walk, and he just wanted to win all the time. And you could put so many people in this category, but the reason why I put Hodjo in is because I was the closest to him all the time. I heard him spray people so many times.
They're not coming back from that.
No, and even spray them even when he loses.
Yeah.
It's like you're never going to be as good as me. Like, who are you? You're a bum, And people know this about Hodge, People know this about Hodge. So that's the person who I always knew was like MJ. And he loves MJ as well. That's probably why he's going to get a big head if he hears this. But he was the guy because you want to go to war with him. Mm-hmm. He'll fight someone for you. Mm-hmm. He'll stand up for you. The thing in his brain is, I couldn't care less about anything.
Yeah.
He'll spray me. He just wants to win a footy game. That's what he wants. He's just a winner, and that's what he wants to do. And you could say that about Darren Lockyer, but they just weren't as lippy.
Yeah.
They just boomed, zoned in and just did their jobs. But for me, it's definitely Hodge.
Were you in the first All Stars?
Yeah, I was in the inaugural. Yeah,
inaugural All Stars. So you said your dream was to be better than Wendell or be the next Wendell. What was it like to get to play with Adele?
It was really...
He scored the first try and did the didgeridoo on the corner post?
You know what? It's really funny because I played the year before that in 2009 was my debut year, and I played against him. And he played at the Dragons.
Yeah.
And all I could think about is...
That was when he had his OJ look going on.
Yeah, 100. All I could think about is like... he's gonna have something to prove here. Yeah. I've got his number on my back. I've got his jersey on my back.
Yeah.
I need to beat this guy. I got to beat this guy. Fortunately enough, we won that game. I don't think we've seen each other enough through the game to really show that potential of who was better. But I thought about that a lot. And then when I got put into the camp, I was number 17. So back then it was a voting system, how you get picked, and I'd only played 1 year in first grade, man, and I think I was something like number 9 on the list for voting.
That is great. I like that system where you just let the mob choose us by.
Exactly. That's what happened. And I was like, how the hell am I in this team?
You had enough cousins, that's why.
Yeah, probably. The brothers and the aunties and the cousins and the sisters and that's how it was. The mob just loved you. So, that's how I got voted in to be in this game. And to be, and Preston Campbell was my idol. So for him to be the captain for me was like, I was like a schoolgirl. Like I couldn't talk to him. But that moment, when I did meet Wendell properly and got ask him a lot of questions about the club and, what drove him and things like that. And, everyone's got their own personal drive and a lot was was family for him and, probably for me as well was that. But it was also that he would been at the Broncos before and I was like, man, I love you, but I want to be better than you because that's the mentality I had. And, he probably wouldn't have minded if I told him that. I never did, but... that's the mentality I had coming through, the game.
Now, you mentioned Ferny Grove,
FG,
high school,
baby.
FG, and then North Devils, and you said you weren't playing with many Murray kids.
No.
And then particularly in Parramatta. I mean, obviously All Stars you played with the entire side of Koori footballers, but until your origin start, like that, would have that been the first time you played with a team that was like almost majority... I mean,
Indigenous, not
including Rocky. Or was Rocky the same?
No. It was So, like, Origin was pretty much the Origin side that I played with. Yeah, it was like an Aboriginal side. Yeah, I mean, Hodjo was my centre, Sammy was my second rower. Yeah, then you got JT. Yeah. GI. Who else was
Bowen still around?
Nah, Mango. Yeah, Mango was around, but he wasn't. And we basically call Nate Miles a blackfella. He's from up Townsville way, so he was always hanging out with the blackfellas. So we claimed him. We claimed him, but it was. I don't know, man. Like I was lucky enough at North actually to have a few PNG boys that and that was cool for me. I mean, culturally, didn't really matter, but it was we're both blackfellas. And I didn't seem to see it as race. I suppose I just seen it as like. Whatever brother I see it's a brother, and that made me feel comfortable to be at Norths as well. And that's why I moved to North because I first started at West Arana, but I just didn't feel as comfortable there. And when I went over there, there was a lot of blackfellas, and it was fun. Yeah, that's why I stayed at Norths, man. Like, that club is it'd be close to say they saved my life. Like, I had a lot of bad stuff, family around where I used to live in Capera, and wasn't that flash hot back then. There was a lot of crime. There was a lot of, drugs and stuff like that. So, to find rugby league and to find that club, it was a really cool experience. And I'd never looked back. I mean, I've still got my very first North Devils jersey I ever wore. It's at I leave it with my grandparents, and I had number 6 on. I can't believe I played in the halves. I don't know why. I think it was just because I was fast. We didn't pass back then, because there's no way in the world they picked me from my ball skills. There's no way. So I've still got that jersey, and even when I played Origin, they gave you a jersey for your club, and your training jersey, and they put your club colours on it. Yeah, right. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I still got that jersey as well, and when I have mates over and we have a beer,
it comes on.
Well, I've still got all these jerseys, right, that I haven't framed yet, that I'm slowly getting rid of, trying to get, I've got a few framed, but we call it a jersey party at my house, and I just give everyone a jersey. And one of my mates came over, a guy that came over the other day I hadn't seen for a while, and I gave him my Origin jersey to put on, and he was like, "Nah, I can't wear that." I was like, "Yeah, bro, wear it."
You haven't washed it?
Nah, it's washed. It's washed, but I haven't washed it since I've been wearing it at jersey parties.
Probably smells worse.
Yeah, it does.
Well, thanks for joining us today,
no problem.
Jharal. It's interesting to get some insight into. I mean, it's not. We're not just. This isn't clickbait. This isn't Buzz Rothfield shit. It is a phenomenon what's happening at the Broncos now because it's out of character, and it's great to get some insight from inside the tent or recently inside the tent. And definitely from inside the locker rooms once upon a time. Yeah,
look, and I just got to say before we finish it up, I've got full faith in this side of turning it around and in the side itself. Like, I have a lot of faith in every single one of my friends there that play footy there. They're all great people. They're all great blokes. Unfortunately, they've been shown in the light of how they're playing rugby league. They're all great people, all awesome people. They're just the club is in the worst place it's ever been, and there was probably going to be a time when this was going to happen, but unfortunately right now it's just where they're there. So, boys, if you listen to this, if anyone at the Broncos fans that listen to this, stay strong. We're in this together. I mean, I'm not hiding. I'm definitely not hiding. I'm still wearing my Broncos gear around, and when I say something, I'm going to mean it, and it comes from the heart for me. So stay strong, everyone. If you're a Broncos fan, we're going to get out of this. We'll be okay.
Yeah, Bronx Nation isn't dead.
No, it's not.
Thanks for joining us, mate.
No problem, brother.